Now, of course, part of that too is dealing with the regulator, and love them or hate them, they're here to stay. So we have to pay attention to the regulator and indeed make sure that we work within those regulations, and hopefully those regulations are there to actually encourage business and to help again sustain growth with all of your businesses. Our next speaker is a gentleman who has worked in this environment for quite a while here. He's an expert on risk, on compliance, internal audit, fraud detection and corporate governance. He has extensive and indeed very diversified background in the corporate markets with investment banking, and he has worked around the world in Asia, in Europe and in North America. He has also been credited with turning around one of Pakistan's brokerage houses to be indeed one of the biggest in the country, and he currently sits on the board of many companies here in the region. So please, a very warm welcome to the Chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission of Pakistan, Mr. Muhammad Ali.
Mr. Nazir Chaudhry, Yaqub Sattar, my fellow council members, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and assalamu alaikum. I have been given the topic, the regulator's perspective on accountability for CFOs. Now, frankly, that's a very difficult topic to talk on. So I gave the assignment 2 weeks back to our enforcement team to come up with this speech, because these guys are the experts who have the most CFOs within the regulatory body that we have. And I got a speech, I went through it, didn't like it, threw it out of the window. And then I gave the assignment to our research and development team, who gave me their final draft on Saturday. I went through it, didn't like it. So I have ended up upsetting a lot of my colleagues because of this conference. And then yesterday morning, while having coffee in one of the cafes in beautiful Islamabad, the brainwave started working, and I came up with all the thoughts that I'm going to talk about today. So the message is, Sunday morning coffees do help. Accountability for CFOs. I'll talk about some of the things. I'll briefly touch upon them, because I think the rest of the day you will be discussing a lot of those things, which are the responsibilities and the role of the CFO. But I think the classic example of Enron's crisis would be a good starting point, which completely changed the dimension and the role and the responsibilities for CFOs globally. I think a few decades ago, the typical role of the CFO was that of an accountant, of a bookkeeper. And Enron was one of the crises at the global level, which made everyone realize that CFOs are not only the bookkeepers and the accountants, rather they have a role which goes way beyond their traditional role. They are the ones who are custodians of shareholders' wealth. A CEO is responsible to maximize shareholders' wealth, but a CFO is responsible for protection of the shareholders' wealth. And by doing that, they actually achieve sustainable organizational success. CFOs are responsible for risk management and risk mitigation. They are the ones who have to ensure that the greed of the business owners and the CEOs remains within the boundaries of the law and the regulation and the ethics. So the role of the CEO today goes way beyond that of an accountant. And in today's financial market, which are much more complicated than what we had seen 2 decades ago, the knowledge of derivatives, cross-border transaction, foreign exchange risk, all these factors, and most of these are not present in our market today. But imagine the role of a CEO in the global environment. Imagine what happened in 2008 crisis. There were some organizations, some financial houses, some investment banks who did not go bust, who did not suffer huge losses. And I believe that the CFOs played their due role over there. Organizations where CFOs in 2008 did not highlight the risks involved, a lot of those organizations saw the crisis that we are all aware of. So the accountability that lies on the shoulder of CFOs today is way beyond what we have envisaged in the past. It also includes investor protection. It also includes communication to the markets about important piece of information to ensure there's no insider trading in the market. It also ensures that all the mergers and takeovers are done wisely. Their accountability also goes to the fact that they have to advise the CEOs, and they are the only part of the senior management which brings a balance, which brings a perspective which is not based on profitability, rather it is based on transparency and operating within the legal boundaries. They are the ones who have to advise the CEO, the management, and the board of directors through their MIS, through the information, through the various number calculation and crunching about the right return on investment, the right return on equity that should be given to the shareholders. So the role of CFO is a very important one, and besides the CEO, CFO is probably the most important individual in the senior management in any organization. From a regulator's perspective, we assign this accountability and this responsibility on the CFOs. When a company unfortunately goes into default, when there is any misreporting, when we call the management or the board of directors, CFO is a part of the team which is called. So CFOs have to put their foot down. They have to come forward and they have to voice their opinion and the concern. Gone are the times when CFOs were just a dummy figure who were not given any importance. In the revised Code of Corporate Governance that we are coming up with, we have made it very clear that for all the listed companies in Pakistan, a CFO has to have chartered accountancy qualifications. So the minimum qualification is already prescribed for the CFOs. That's the level of importance that we are assigning to the CFOs in our society today. Now, these were some of the responsibilities that I just highlighted for the CFO in today's world. I think we need to look at the role that the CFO community or the accounting profession or the audit profession has played in Pakistan, in our corporate world. We have to see where exactly we are standing today, what are the dynamics in our market today. We need to paint the canvas of the Pakistani corporate world, the world that we all live in. Only then I think we can talk about what is the role that the CFOs can play in our market and where exactly the regulators can contribute. Now in Pakistan today, out of 3 million businesses, only 61,000 are companies. Out of those 61,000, 30,000 are active and the rest are dormant. So out of 3 million businesses in the country, 30,000 are the active companies, which is 1% of the businesses. So 1% of the businesses are in a corporate setup. And we all know that it is the corporate setup which utilizes the services of chartered accountants and of CFOs today in our market. These 30,000 companies, which is 1% of the businesses, contributed last year 63% of the direct and indirect taxes in the country. These 30,000 companies contributed 85% of the direct taxes in the country, which means that the other 99% are contributing much less than what they should be contributing. Just to share the number with you, the latest number given by FBR is the partnership concerns and the sole proprietors in Pakistan contribute approximately 1% in the total tax budget of approximately 2,000 billion in the country. So out of 2,000 billion taxes that we collect, 1%, which is 20 billion, probably less than that, comes from the 99% of the businesses in our country today. Tax to GDP is 9%, which used to be 11% a few years ago, and it is one of the lowest in the world. We are living in an environment which is dominated by indirect taxes, and we are living with a presumptive tax regime. Out of the 650 listed companies on the capital markets, the trading takes place in approximately 100. Out of the other 550, there are some which are not liquid, but there are around 300 to 400 companies which are listed, but investors do not want to trade in them just because they are not comfortable with the corporate governance and the ethical standards followed by those companies. That's the state of affairs we are living in. The last 2 years, SECP has been trying to come up with a revised code of corporate governance, and we faced strong resistance from different quarters